Get off this land right now, or the sheriff will be back with an eviction notice you can't ignore!
My name is Evan Miller, and for most of my life, I've stayed out of drama. I'm the kind of guy who minds his business, pays his bills, and spends my weekends hiking, photographing wildlife, or sitting by a campfire in peace. But peace is exactly what the Whisper Ridge HOA didn't want me to have. I still remember the moment the trouble started. I had moved into a quiet cabin-style home at the edge of the ridge, right next to a small patch of national forest and a stretch of private woodland that had been in my family for 3 generations. It was my sanctuary. At least, until the HOA president, Margaret Dalton, decided she wanted to expand the community's recreational access. That was HOA speak for. We want your land, and we'll harass you until you give up. And trust me. I couldn't believe what she said next. It all began on a Saturday morning. I just returned from a long hike up the ridge behind my home, the same ridge I had grown up exploring with my dad. I was unloading my pack when I noticed an envelope taped to my front door. Bright orange. Bold letters. HOA notice of violation. I frowned. That can't be for me. But sure enough, it was addressed to Evan Miller, Lot 14. Violation, unauthorized hunting activity. Fine, $600. Hunting? I muttered. I don't even hunt. Just then, my neighbor Tom walked over, shaking his head. You got one too, huh? What? You got fined? Not me, Tom chuckled. But Margaret's been patrolling the creek trail. Said she saw someone with a bow on your land. I raised my eyebrows. Tom, that was me. It's a camera tripod. I photograph wildlife. Oh boy, he said, laughing. You better prepare yourself. She's on a crusade. No kidding. Later that morning, I walked to the HOA office, just a glorified shed near the community pool, and found Margaret rearranging brochures like they were sacred scriptures. Ms. Dalton, I said calmly, holding up the notice. This is clearly a mistake. She looked up, narrowed her eyes, and folded her arms. It's not a mistake. Residents are prohibited from hunting within HOA boundaries. I wasn't hunting, I repeated. I was on my land. With a camera. She sniffed. Well, it looked like a weapon. It wasn't. You still created the appearance of a violation, she insisted. I blinked. Appearance of a violation? That's when I knew I was dealing with someone who lived in her own world. I'm not paying the fine, I said. Her lips tightened. You will. Or we'll escalate. And oh, they did. 2 days later, I got another notice. Then another. Then a certified letter. Each more dramatic than the last. Failure to pay will result in liens. Repeat violations may result in property access restrictions. I rubbed my temples. They were threatening to block access to my own driveway. I couldn't believe what I read. So I called the county office to confirm what I already knew. And sure enough, my property was not under HOA jurisdiction. Never had been. Never would be. My land predated the Whisper Ridge development by 40 years. So I confronted Margaret again. Ms. Dalton, I said firmly, you have zero authority over my land. Stop sending me fines. She stood there like a stone statue. Our maps say otherwise, she declared. Your maps are wrong. She smirked. Then we'll see what the county says. I already did. Her smile faltered. Well, she stammered. We have community standards to maintain. That's when something in me snapped. Listen, I said. This ends now. You have no right. She cut me off, stabbing a finger in the air. Until you sign an HOA compliance agreement, you are under our rules. I stared at her, speechless. You can't force me into your HOA, I said quietly. But she only smiled, the kind of smile villains give right before the commercial break. We'll see, she said. The next weekend, trouble got worse. I woke up to the sound of people talking outside my fence line. I stepped out onto my deck and saw a group of hikers walking across my land, cutting right through it. Confused, I followed the path until I found a newly posted sign. Whisper Ridge Hiking Trail, Community Access. My jaw dropped. This is my land, I said aloud. Just then, a familiar voice behind me said. Oh, good morning, Evan. It was Margaret. What is this? I demanded. A community trail, she said sweetly. We decided to open up a route through the forest. Through my forest? The community needs nature access, she said, shrugging. And frankly, your land wasn't being used productively. I felt my blood pressure rise. You trespassed, I said. And you built on private property. It's just a simple trail, she said, dismissive. No harm done. That's illegal. And, she said, head tilted. Are you really going to make a fuss? I stared at her. Yes. For the first time since we'd met, she looked nervous. I filed an official complaint with the county the same day. 2 weeks later, a hearing was set. I walked into the small meeting room with my folder of deeds and property surveys. Behind me came a few homeowners who apparently learned about the unauthorized trail and were furious. Margaret arrived wearing a blazer and confidence-like armor. She immediately began speaking, loudly. This man is obstructing community recreation, she said. And he refuses to follow HOA rules. The chair of the meeting, a stern-looking woman from zoning, held up a hand. Ms. Dalton, please sit. We'll review the documents. I handed over my land deed. 10 minutes passed. 15. Then the zoning chair slowly removed her glasses and said. Ms. Dalton, this land is private. All of it. You had no right to build anything on it. Margaret's face drained of color. And further, the chair continued, the HOA has no jurisdiction over Mr. Miller's property. None. But the maps, Margaret stammered. The maps you submitted, the chair interrupted, are outdated and inaccurate. I almost felt bad watching Margaret's confidence evaporate. Almost. Ms. Dalton, the chair added, you are legally required to remove the trail markers, signage, and any structures within 14 days. And if I don't? Margaret whispered. We'll fine the HOA thousands of dollars for every day of non-compliance. I couldn't believe how fast the tables turned. Margaret slumped into her seat. I thought that would be the end of the drama. But I underestimated how vindictive and embarrassed HOA president could be. 3 days after the meeting, I found new hikers on my land, dozens of them. When I asked what they were doing, many said. The HOA told us the trail is still open and you're just being difficult. I felt my patience snap. That's when I knew I had to fight back, for real. That night, I called my uncle, who happened to be a land developer and businessman. He had once offered to help expand my property holdings but I'd always declined. This time, I didn't. Within a month, we negotiated with the owner of the mountain ridge behind my property, land the HOA desperately wanted access to, and we bought it outright. All 300 acres of it. When the sale went through, I installed new signs. Private mountain, no trespassing. No hiking trails. No HOA access. No exceptions. And because the HOA had ignored the removal order, the county imposed fines so large they had to use their emergency fund to pay them off. When Margaret found out I owned the entire mountain, she marched up my driveway, red-faced and sputtering. You can't shut down the trails, she yelled. I can, I said calmly, and I did. You're ruining the community. No, I said, I'm protecting private property. She looked like she wanted to scream but couldn't get the air. You'll regret this, she finally whispered. I smiled. No, Margaret. I think you've done all the regretting for both of us. It has been 8 months now. The HOA trails are closed. My land is quiet again. The wildlife has returned. And Margaret? She resigned 2 months after the county fines drained the HOA budget. Residents voted in a new, reasonable board, one that actually respects private boundaries. Every now and then, people still ask me, why did you go so far? Why by the mountain? I always answer the same way. Because if you don't stand your ground, someone else will stand on it. When someone tries to control you through fear, pressure, or fake authority, remember this. Knowledge is power. Calm is power. And your rights are worth protecting. Sometimes the best revenge is simply reminding people that they can't push you around, no matter how many rules they invent.